What is up, Cowboys Nation? Boy, Mike Tag here. Hopefully, you guys are doing well, doing good, enjoying it. It's a beautiful Thursday. It's a little bit closer to that Monday, and we're talking about national championship. Miami Hurricanes and the Indiana Hoosiers. Everybody's doubting my Hurricanes, but you know your boy right here, I ain't doubting them. So as you guys are rolling in, man, make sure you hit that thumbs up, hit that like, hit that subscribe. If you're new to the channel, and again, man, big ups, man. We hit 5,000 last week, and we're already almost to 5,200. So big thanks to everyone being part of the cave, being part of that family. Definitely can't thank you guys enough. I'm running solo for a little bit, but Kelly will be in the house. Kelly will be coming by shortly, so he's running a little late. You know, we got day jobs, and some of us got to work, and some got responsibilities, but I'm enjoying myself. I just got here, just got back, went to see some high school wrestling. I wrestled in high school. One of my buddy's kids is now coaching at one of the high schools close by to the house, so went out there to support them, had to haul butt home to make it for the show, and lo and behold, here I am. So definitely appreciate all the love to the channel, and I'm getting ready to have a great weekend. But first things first, we got to talk some Dallas Cowboys. So what do you guys think? And we're gonna get Kelly's take on it, on the defensive coordinator search. So right now we've got a lot of things going on. The Cowboys are leaving what I like to call no stone unturned. They've interviewed probably about 8 guys right now. Could be even more. Let me try and get some of this stuff set up. Sorry, I didn't have the comments showing. So what is up, everybody? Apologize for that. I'm running solo. I left my mouse at work. I did this problem before, and now here we go again. So I'm going to do the best I can. Once Kelly gets here, I'll be able to do it. But looking at the Cowboys defensive coordinator search, I mean, what are you guys thinking so far? Me personally, I like it. It's a lot of guys that don't have big ties to the Cowboys, but have some familiarity with the NFC East, right? They're looking at the Cardinals. Jonathan Gannon, who coached the Arizona Cardinals, was a defensive coordinator with Philadelphia. They brought in Covington, who was the Packers D-line coach. So, again, some familiarity with the Cowboys over the last few years. Charlie Bullen, the Giants defensive coordinator, was the interim defensive coordinator. John Harbaugh looks like he's going to get hired there, which make it interesting for the NFC East. Brought him in. Christian Parker, the Eagles passing defense coordinator, right? The passing coordinator for defense and DB coach. Obviously, they got 2 All-Pros that they got going on in the secondary. So, again, someone very familiar with the Cowboys and the NFC East. Obviously, Zach Orr, we talked about, Ravens defensive coordinator. We talked about him on Monday. With Harbaugh going to the Giants, you got to figure he's going to bring his crew, his guys in there. So, more than likely he may end up following him up to New York if they so choose, please. Aaron Whitecotton in-house, they interviewed him as well, and obviously all the other bigger names that they started out with. But looking at what they're doing, I like it. I like the names. I like the variety. I like the focus on a lot of these guys that are interviewing have secondary backgrounds, right? Pass defense, working on the secondary. So I think those are some positive things when you're looking at it. And I think they're casting, what Stephen Jones said, a wide net, right? So they're going to narrow it down, and they're probably going to start narrowing it down after this weekend, see what coaches are left standing in the playoffs. But I like what they're doing because they're the last 3 hires, well, probably not Quinn so much, but especially the last 2 were historic Cowboy guys, had history with the team with Zimmer. Obviously, Eberflus had history with the team. It was the comfortable hire. It was the known hire. Hey, it's the buddy system. A lot of what you're seeing now is kind of outside the norm of what the Dallas Cowboys and how they are, or how they've operated. So I like what they've done. Now, I saw some people post, hey, Jonathan Gannon, his defense sucked in Arizona. He was the head coach. Let's look at guys as defensive coordinators and not look at them as they were a head coach. Jim Schwartz, everyone's clamoring for him. He was a shitty head coach. Let's just be honest, but he's a great defensive coordinator. Vic Fangio, terrible head coach, one of the best defensive minds in the NFL, great defensive coordinator. Some coaches are good when they're focused on being a coordinator. Some can't handle the head coaching responsibilities and doing everything. And Dave Campo was a great defensive mind, great defensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys. He didn't have a lot of success. Didn't have a lot of success with the Cowboys as a head coach. He didn't have a quarterback. I mean, that probably had a little bit to do with it. Didn't give him much of a team to work with. That probably didn't help either. So don't get caught up when they're talking about these coaches that have gotten fired, that have defensive background, that had strong. That's why they got hired, was they had a strong defensive season and ran a strong defense. That's why they got hired. So maybe they weren't successful as head coaches, but don't get caught up into that. That's all I'm saying. And I'm not saying Jonathan Gannon's the next coming or whatever, but it's same thing with Jim Schwartz. I'm not going to look at what they did as a head coach. I want to focus on what they did for their defense and how they were on the defense. Now, on the flip side, you could say, well, Eberflus, he was a solid defensive coordinator for the Colts, became a head coach for the Bears. He shit the bed as a head coach, and he shit the bed with the Dallas Cowboys as a coordinator. So there is no perfect science to it. I think what the Cowboys really need to do is do what they're doing now. Don't rush it. Do your due diligence. Get a lot of guys through that door so you're listening to what they get in different opinions, different philosophies, and then really understanding they have young guys on this defense. This defense, it's not like the cupboard's bare. You do have pieces that you can work with. You just need to fill in the gaps, and there's a lot of gaps in the secondary, and there's a lot of gaps in with the linebackers, and that's what they need to figure out of who they're interviewing. What could they bring? You see what we got to work with. How would you handle it? What pieces do you need? You see the free agents that are out there. Who could we get, or who do we need to get that could fit your defensive scheme? Because we don't have time to wait. That's the problem. I mean, that's why they really need to make the right hire, because if they go 0 for 5, this would, if this one worked out, then they'd be on their 5th defensive coordinator in as many years. That's not good. They need to hit a home run with this defensive coordinator position and whoever they fill it. That's why I'm a fan of finding someone on a really good defense. If you're going to go for a position coach that you're going to promote up to a defensive coordinator, if they don't have experience as a DC, I want to see them have a very good defense. So when I look at the Broncos, I look at what Minnesota did under Flores. I look at those types of Houston. I look at those types of defense. That's what I'd like to see. Yeah, McCarthy is McCarthy in Tennessee. I would like to see that for Cam. I would like to see that for Cam if he ended up there. Cam needs an offensive coach. I mean, you know how these young quarterbacks, if you end up with a bad program and a bad structure, it's just going to kill you. And I agree. Miami, they're winning at number 6 Monday night. And I'm sorry I can't put all the comments up because, again, I'm on my mouse, but I'm going to take the extra second to put that one up there because my man knows it. I'm going to be heading down on Saturday. Don't know what we're going to do. We might go and just leave early, have a great time, and then come back that evening. And then that way we're home on Sunday. There's a lot of, obviously, the football. I don't think we're going to be able to get tickets down there. It is, I mean, $4,000. They're up to like $4,000 a ticket for nosebleeds. I just can't spend that kind of money on a football game when I can watch it in the comfort of my own home. And I'm a little superstitious sometimes. They've won very, very, very nicely. That's why you see me in our little game room there. We watch the games there because that's where it started, outside the A&M game because we're on our cruise. So I'm a superstitious person. So that's what I've got to look at there. And it looks like we might have Kelly. Let's see if Kelly has joined the show. He's made it a little late, but I told people work comes first. I mean, you got to get your stuff done first. We got to pay them bills.
Fashionably late. You know, when they tell you that you got to have a work meeting and it involves HR, man, you get a little nervous. You know, especially with me, heart
Yeah.
skip a beat. I think, is this thing for me? Or luckily it was not for me. It was for somebody else, and then just going over some company policies afterwards. So no big deal, man. You know,
And
got a free meal out of it, but it ran way longer than I thought it was going to.
well, no worries. So I started the show, really just got into it with defensive coordinator, right? So they've got their search. I don't know your opinion on it, so we'll get some fresh thoughts from you.
Yeah,
My quick observation, I like what they're doing so far. They cast a wide net. They're interviewing a lot of different people from a lot of different teams. A lot heavy focus on experience or positions of defensive back, passing
game coordinators.
coordinators, things like
Yeah.
that. So what has been your observation of the names? There's one in-house, White Cotton, Jonathan Gannon, who was a coach at Arizona, who was a DC for the Super Bowl, Philadelphia Eagles. You had another Eagle, I believe Christian Parker is the current passing game coordinator, DB coach there. You got Covington, who's the Packers D-line coach. He's worked under Bill Belichick. So that's got some pedigree there. Charlie Bullen is the Giants defensive coordinator. Zach Orr, the Ravens defensive coordinator. With Harbaugh going to the Giants, he may follow him there.
Yeah.
You've got all the other ones, the bigger names that we've already talked about, the Vikings guy, the others, earlier ones, Jim Leonard with the Broncos. Where are you right now with this? Are you satisfied with what they're doing, or are you frustrated? What's your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, first of all, Cuts mentioned that this is a badass hat. This is a badass hat. I ain't gonna lie. You got the star on the side of that thing, Cuts by Jones. Holla, boy.
If I wasn't in Miami Hurricane mode, I'd be wearing it. But
No, I get you. Listen, hey, man, you know what? Don't remind me, man. If Tech was in the national championship, I'd be head to toe Texas Tech, man. So I don't blame you, man. I like what I like what they're doing in terms of looking at a lot of these guys because it seems like one of the common themes is pass game coordinators, right?
Yeah,
that's where we struggled mightily. The pass game coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, you look what he did with a couple of very young DBs. Was able to, yeah. I mean, that can't be denied. I like that. For a while, man, I've been just really kind of harping on the fact that I wanted a guy with a proven track record, right? And I'm like, man, I really want a guy like a Flores, which I think he's probably going to go for a head coaching job. I understood he was out. I don't know he's going to make a lateral move at this point.
My thing is, I'm calling it now. He's the next head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I think so too. When I saw
Pittsburgh is done defensive minded between obviously God, why am I forgetting his name? The guy who started it all. What's his name? Chuck Noll. Chuck Noll to the chin and to obviously Tomlin. So it's all defensive minds. I think he's going to end up there. But go ahead.
I do too. But I think that it's smart for the Cowboys though what they're doing in terms of looking at guys that their strong suit is in one of our weakest positions, which is our secondary. Because let's face it, our secondary was ass this year. You know what I mean? You can say what you want about whether it was Eberflus, whether it was a scheme, whatever. I mean, it was just ass. We played zone. We did some, and then he went and started playing a little bit more man. Regardless of what he did, that secondary was bad, and it was just unfundamentally sound. So we need whoever our defensive coordinator, and it'd be nice to know that hey, he can help fix this secondary. Because here's the thing: you get a defensive coordinator. He's going to bring in probably his own staff in terms of his D-line coach and all this other stuff. So you got to trust that he's going to make those moves to bring in some strong candidates there. But, if we bring in a guy that specializes in the pass game coordinator, then I think ultimately I would be happy, especially if it's coming from a strong background. And a lot of these guys that they've been bringing in do have that, have a little bit of a proven track record or have, some skins on the wall in terms of what they've been able to do. So, yeah, I haven't seen a name that's really jumped at me like I want that guy. That's the guy I want. but I wouldn't say that I'm highly disappointed. It's just nobody's really like moving the needle for me. So it's not one way or the other. I'm kind of like right in the middle on the fence on this thing so far.
Well, what do you think, Michael Rizzo? I don't know. I don't recognize that name in the chat. If you're new, welcome. Or if you just decided to join the chat, I appreciate it. Or if I missed you, I apologize. Jim Leonard, that is the hot name. That seems to be the favorite. There are some ties. I mean, you can bring him back down to Shoddy. He was a safety for the Jets playing when Shoddy was coaching there.
Yeah.
He was a defensive coordinator for the for Wisconsin. He's with the Broncos, assistant head coach, not just a position coach. I mean, that's how much Sean Payton thinks of him. Is he's got an assistant head coach title. He seems to be the trajectory is that next guy, right? The next guy, not higher. He seems to be the one that's catching a lot of eyes, and obviously the ties. There are some ties to Shoddy. So, what's your thoughts on him? Obviously, coming from probably the best defense in the NFL. Coming from the Broncos as that option. Does that get you excited, or you think he's
no, I out of all the names that I've heard, that's probably the one that I like the most. And the reason I would say that is just because of the fact that I like Sean Payton as a coach, and I trust Sean Payton in terms of if he's got a guy on his staff, and especially if he's got him in that role, assistant head coach. I mean, that speaks volumes of what Sean Payton thinks of him as a coach. And, one of the things that I look at when I'm looking at these head coaches is what coaching tree are they coming from, right? Are they coming from a guy? Like, there's just some guys that seem to hit harder. Like if it's a Belichick guy, just same way back in the days, you see all the Parcells guys that worked under Parcells that, worked their way through the ranks. You get some of these head coaches with really sound philosophies, discipline, all the things that you need, the keys that you need to succeed in this league. And so a guy like that, and coming from a defense and, in Denver, who's had one of the top defenses all year long, I believe right there neck and neck 1 and 2 with the Houston Texans. You look at that, getting a guy off of that staff, I would say would be pretty good. So I would not mind to have him. And if that was the defensive coordinator hire, I'm not going to be mad at that at all.
Yeah, I think what I like is what makes me feel better about this. And I mentioned it earlier. I don't know if you were on when I did, but the Cowboys usually do the Cowboys thing, and the Cowboys thing is to hire someone they know. You had Zimmer. Eberflus was here, and, so they were very comfortable. So I like what the Cowboys are doing outside. There's not that familiar, we're going back to the well, or we're going to go back to what's comfortable. That being said, the name that they did interview, Aaron Whitecotton, is highly thought of within the locker room with the team. I would be not very excited if he was hired, and the reason being is because what you have. Now, I put an asterisk. If they would have fired Eberflus mid-season, promoted him as interim DC, and you saw some progress and you saw some improvement, I would be much more inclined to say, you know what, keep the continuity. You see them getting better, give him an offseason doing it his way, and then I'd feel pretty good about it. But the way that they didn't do that, they need a clean house and they need an outsider. I mean, is that fair to say?
I would say so. It's kind of like how I felt last year, I've been wrong about it, but I mean, if we kind of look at it, Schottenheimer, that's how we felt about Schottenheimer going into the head coaching search, right? We're like, hey, look, Schottenheimer was on this staff last year, and we're talking about we're getting rid of a head coach. We kind of thought that we should just purge that whole system. So.
Well, you're not dead right. Don't call yourself wrong yet, because I mean, let's just be honest. It's not like they didn't do what the Bears did with their rookie.
No, absolutely. They did. They did not.
I think he's headed the right way, but
I think so too, man. But I'll say this: I still don't buy the fact that Schottenheimer. Ultimately, do I think he approved Eberflus? Yeah, but I think this was a Jerry Jones. I still think this is a Jerry Jones hire, 1,000%.
He said it was. He said it wasn't a backtrack later, but he
did though. At the press conference, I felt like he was trying to throw Shoddy under the bus, because he was like, he made the decision. He made the decision, and the kind of the way that he said it was almost like, yeah, put this on Schottenheimer, you know what I mean? And it's like, and then Jerry was like, he's speaking out of both sides of his mouth. He's like, yes, I made the hire, but 100% Schotty's on board with it. You know what I mean? So, but the way it sounded, I'm sitting there looking at him like, damn, that's like, if we do a class project and you do all the goddamn work, and this is what I got, and we get an F, and then you tell me that I was okay with it, and I'm like, hey, I didn't really get a say in none of this shit. Like, I feel offended, and I felt bad for Shotty right there, because you almost see this little look in Schottenheimer's face, a split second. But if you pick up on body language and look at him, when Jerry said that, there was a look on Schottenheimer's face that tells me it's 100% bullshit. It's 100% bullshit.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely. Yeah. Ultra's concerned about you. You said you look sad that the Eagles lost.
Oh, man, I've been making the rounds. I've been making the rounds on Twitter. My engagements, I looked at this shit the other day. My engagements since Philadelphia lost is up to 500,000 engagements on Twitter. 500,000. So that is crazy considering, like, I got some the Philly fans have been so angry with me. So angry. I haven't left them alone at all, man. I still was on them today because they were talking about the fact that we wanted to take away their pass game coordinator and said, damn, the Cowboys want to be us so bad. And I said, let's just not act like y'all didn't get Kellen Moore.
I was just going to say they're clamoring. Well, I listened to them on because my enjoyment is on Philly radio. Like I had to listen because just the meltdown was great. And all these people are calling up saying, we needed to get Kellen Moore back. We had to get Kellen Moore. They should have made Kellen Moore the head coach. And you knew they were going to say this when Cowboys are interviewing some of their players or some of their coaches. And it's like, dude, you guys are so easy. You guys make it so easy to make fun of. You make it so easy.
It really is, because what's funny is that, what's funny every time, and I don't want to go too far off track getting on the Eagles, but what's funny is that they don't have the same energy for their own players as they have for the Dallas Cowboys. Because can you imagine if Dak Prescott all year long, let's just say Dak Prescott had the same record Jalen Hurts has, but he's basically averaging about 160 yards a game. And then in a couple of games, he had like 0 completions in the second half, couldn't score a point in the second half. I mean, if Dak Prescott had that kind of season, Philadelphia would be imploding. And it don't matter if Dak Prescott had just come off a Super Bowl. No. They still would have come after Dak Prescott. And here's the thing, it's funny because, you've got former players of the Philadelphia Eagles that are coming after Jalen Hurts and saying that it is what it is. They're saying, look, Kellen Moore didn't even run Kellen Moore's scheme. They're like, you watch that. Did that scheme when they won the Super Bowl look like the scheme that he had when he was in Dallas? Because I thought the same thing. I didn't think it looked anything like it. No, He adjusted his play calling to suit Jalen Hurts, and he took the ball out of his hands, and he ran the damn ball. This year in games, this actually dating back last year, I think it said Jalen Hurts had, I think it's 13. I can't remember what it is. But he hasn't won any games when he has to pass for over 30 times a game. None. Zero. He is not a guy that you want to have the ball in his hands as a passer. And it was proven time and time again this year. They got lucky on multiple occasions because they got an elite defense. Elite defense. And it's funny
what defense does. It shows what defense does. And, and with Hurts, it's like they just can't admit it. And you look at that game, like against San Francisco, it's 3rd and 8 and they're running the ball. They're not even, they have no confidence even to pass the ball. And they're getting booed, and the fans are, but that coach and that coordinator, he fell on the sword, right? He's going to fall on the sword, which he did. They fired him. But you could tell they had 0 confidence in him being able to throw the football consistently and effectively. There was just no confidence. They were going to live and die by Barkley in that offense. And Barkley, when a running back runs for that many yards and that many carries, typically that next year it's not going to be as successful. I mean, there's a lot of tread on that tire, so it's going to be interesting.
And you think about this, right? 5 offensive coordinators have been fired. 5. Well, you can't. I guess you can't not fired because you can't really count Kellen Moore. But He's went through 4. There 4 of them have been fired. One of them went on and got promoted, right? If you've gone through 4 offensive coordinators, at what point is it your quarterback? At what point is your quarterback? And I know, and again, the Eagles are going to sit there and they'll talk about the Chiefs game, right? And I will say, in that Chiefs game, he played a great game. He really did. He had a great game. He got the MVP, all right?
But it was really
I'm
great.
telling you right now,
he shouldn't have got
the exception to the rule. Leading up to that Super Bowl, in that playoff run, he did absolutely fucking nothing. Averaged about 150 yards. Saquon Barkley carried the load, and he carried the load that entire season. So look, Jalen Hurts is a mediocre, average quarterback that has been carried by an elite roster. When that roster is not great, when the play calling is not catered around Jalen Hurts, everything starts crumbling around him. It's why A.J. Brown was such a malcontent, because he's tired of playing with a subpar quarterback. A.J. Brown is a great wide receiver. I'm taking nothing away from him. He barely got over 1,000 yards this year. Barely. 1,003 was what he had, and 7 touchdowns. For a number 1 wide receiver, this should have been a 1,500 yard receiver with double-digit touchdowns. But he can't get that because his quarterback is average. He's not a passer.
Did you see his cap hit? If they got to figure out how to trade him, or it's like,
I mean, at this point, I think A.J. Brown would love to be traded. He's done playing with Hurts.
Yeah,
I mean, time and time again, he bit his tongue this year. So
they'd have to eat a lot of money. They'd have to eat a lot of money. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. But yeah, so the defensive coordinator, getting back to that, I think I like the process of what they're doing. I think it's working out well. I think once the playoffs kind of go, 79, it was 72, 79 million. Good luck with that one. Hopefully he gets it. But looking at the next one, free agency. This is our next topic we wanted to get in with you guys with, and we're just focusing on our own. We're not going to focus on, outside. So I'm going to steal a little tweet from my man, Mike Poland with the UK Cowboys, who do a great job. We've been on their show a few times, but he put it together. So rather than reinvent the wheel, I just figured I'd go ahead and just recite it. Want to get your opinion, Kelly, and you got to put the number, and when I mean number, the money that it's going to cost with the player. And you guys buy or sell, and you guys in the chat, you guys can be part of this too and give us your opinion. Let's start with the free agents, and we're going to start at the big dogs, and we'll work our way down. George Pickens, going to cost you about $30 to $35 million. I mean, what do you say? I mean, I say you got to have him, but what do you say?
George Pickens, I want him on this team again next year. I gotta run this back with George Pickens at least for one more year, if not more. It's the best wide receiver duo in the league. CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens pretty much was unstoppable all year long. So I'm taking him.
I think that's an easy one. This one's interesting because I love him, and I think he's been very good with the Cowboys this year. Javonte Williams, are you good with him coming back at a $7 to $9 million price tag?
Javonte Williams with how much? $7
to $9 million
per year. I don't think that's bad. That's pretty affordable for a running back. I'd bring him back for that.
$4 million, and with incentives, he got $4 million this year. So kind of double. Let's say double his.
I'd bring him back. Yeah, I would bring him back. I remember when we were pounding the table about why we didn't go after Derrick Henry for $6 million a year. So $7 million for Javonte Williams, a running back who I think. I mean, one, he was really good this year, but think about it. A second year with him being healthy, I think he could be even better next year. I would absolutely bring him back because look, second year within the offense, a little bit more comfortable with all the schemes, run blocking, all that. Yeah, I'm bringing him back for $7.
And if you structure the contract right, it could be you have your out, so it could be an average cap hit of like $8 million a year. But by the third year, you could work yourself out of it without.
And these running backs typically are signing short year deals anyway. Short deals is not like you got to sign him to a long-term deal. 2 to 3 years for him, but he's still very young though. That's the good thing. So you're not having to worry about too much tread on the tires.
Yeah. Now this is a guy with some tread, but I thought he was our best defensive player by the end of the year. Jadeveon Clowney could be $7 million tag unless someone gets really hyped up about him, but he's getting older, so he's not going to demand a huge deal. I think obviously defensive coordinator would have something to do with it, but
right.
I thought he played well enough I'd like to see him back with a full off season with, be a leader on this team.
Yeah, I mean, so Jadeveon Clowney was an interesting one, right? If you get him, I think it's only got to be a 1 year deal, though. I don't think you sign him to a multiple. He's old enough to where it's like a 1 year deal, and I think you definitely try to get him at obviously at an affordable price, just because. But I mean, I like what he did this last year, and I think he can be a good player and a good spot to fill. I think your ultimate goal this year, though, is going to be the development of Ezeraku and drafting a defensive end in the first round. I think you go and try to draft a defensive end in the first round. And I actually think that you can, because I know a lot of people were talking about safety. I don't know that Caleb Downs is going to be there at 12, but if he is, I would love to take him at 12 and then maybe take the pass rusher at pick 20. I saw on Facebook today a mock that had Romello Height, the Texas Tech pass rusher, because Bailey will be gone.
He'll be gone.
And I don't actually hate that, because I think Romello Height is a good pass rusher, and I think he's still developing. I think he could develop into a very good pass rusher, but you keep a guy around like Clowney to be kind of a mentor to those two younger guys, to bring them along. You still want a proven guy there that you can get something out of and can be a leader on that defense.
Yeah, I probably should have lumped these two together because I think it's kind of one or the other. But Dante Fowler, similar price, $6.5 million. It may cost you. He had a very disappointing year. Really didn't do a whole lot. Had a really good year the year before. And I was listening to 105.3. And, Bobby Belt was talking about some of these guys are like every other year guys. It seems like when you get older as a defensive end, it's kind of like they get hot and cold. Dante Fowler, would you bring him back? I'm kind of like, I don't know. If I'm getting
I don't know that. I don't think I'd bring him back. No.
Yeah. Donovan Wilson. Just bring him back for $5 million a year.
I don't want Donovan. I don't really want Donovan Wilson on this team anymore.
I wouldn't have any of this team. I would be done with all of my.
No, I'm done. If it's anybody, honestly, the only person that I would be like, all right, I need to have him back in our secondary. Obviously, the rookie that's on the rookie contract, Rebel, Bland. I'm bringing him back. Outside of him, though, and I know we let go. Outside of him, there's not anybody in that secondary room that I would give a shit to bring back.
Yeah, I probably.
I know there was some young guys that kind of had some moments and stuff. I'm just saying, there's not anybody there that if we lost, I'd be like, damn, he's gonna go on and be a star somewhere else. I just don't know that I saw that with anybody.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Wilson. Yeah, Wilson is slower than Rosie O'Donnell, so probably let him go. Sam Williams. Someone already said goodbye, Sam Williams. So he was my next one. You probably can get him cheap on a 1 year deal, 2 year deal. I don't think he's market.
I mean,
on him. I mean, we've been saying he's our breakout star for I don't know how many years now. I think he's
been the breakout star like 4 years running. I feel like I'm ready. I'm done with the Sam Williams experiment. You know what? Sam Williams is starting to feel like, but maybe with less trouble. But he reminds me a lot of Randy Gregory. Except, Randy Gregory, obviously, with the suspensions and stuff, it was different things. But he reminds me a lot of Randy Gregory.
Penalties at bad times, but then
penalties at bad times, some boneheaded plays, And I mean, honestly, his best contributions this year were on special teams.
Yeah,
and I mean that's saying something. If you got a defensive end,
forced fumble, was it Mahomes? It was a big game. It was a team that we were.
It might have been
games. Might have been Mahomes. He had like that one where he chased. He kind of like went back, like he was beat, but then chased the ball and ended up doing a strip. I think it was against the Chiefs. It was either the Chiefs or the Eagles. It was like one of those games where we actually looked good on defense a little bit and we needed to win. So, but it's just too many bad. This one. I've always been a fan, and I would bring him back. This one I would bring back Brock Hoffman.
Yeah,
Bring it. Yeah, I think his flexibility. You got to have some veteran guys. Obviously, he's not a starter, but when you had God, the offseason just really screws me because I forget everyone's name. But when you had BB go down, he stepped in. When you had Tyler Smith, I mean, he was able to move around a little bit and be help the team out. Jalen Tolbert, I think that's probably done too. I think Flanoy is solidified the number 3 spot. So
Yeah.
I would move on. I would move on for him. All right, restricted free agent. So here they do own their rights to a certain point. Brandon Aubrey. Interesting with Brandon Aubrey. He started very hot, but then we say he cooled off, but he missed like 55 plus yard field goal attempts. So I don't know if that's really cooling off. But the only thing that worries me about Aubrey is I feel sometimes the offense gets very conservative, thinking, okay, we're in his range. Let's just not screw it up instead of attacking. I think that would be one of the criticisms I would give Schottenheimer in this offense. Is it seemed like they settled a lot when they got in what they felt was Aubrey's field goal range. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I think that I wouldn't disagree with that. I think that that's a pretty astute observation, because I do think that there's been some time, there was some games where they got a little bit conservative sometimes, but just because they knew Aubrey had such a huge leg and so yeah.
No, and $7 million tag a year. I think you got to have him. He's such a weapon.
With Aubrey, I just sign him to a long-term deal. You know what I mean?
100%.
You give him a 5-year deal, and I'm not worried about it at all. But yeah, you pay him. He's going to probably be the highest paid kicker in the league. I would imagine I don't think he's earned it. I don't think you can take that away from him at this point. So I think you make him the highest paid kicker. You give him a 5-year deal, and I'm not losing any sleep over that at all.
100% agree. I'll do one of them. I know you're going to say get rid of Wanye Thomas, because you said you want all the secondary gone. So send him on his way, or would you bring him back as a restricted free agent?
I'm fine if we just get rid of him. Move on. Let's bring some younger guys in. Yeah.
All right. And our last key free agent, TJ Bass. Again, I would put him in like that Hoffman. It's not going to cost you a lot of money. He's going to give you depth. He came in and stepped in. I think give you some continuity with the offensive line and the depth. So I would bring him in. So that's kind of where you're looking at with free agency and the Cowboys. They don't have a ton. That's what I say is this team, as far as losing a lot of guys, they're not going to lose a lot of guys that they don't want to lose. You know what I'm saying? Like, unless they decide to cut, steal, if they decide to move on from Hooker, if they want to move on from some of the other, the linebackers, if they want to move on from them. Murray, I think, was a 2-year deal, so you can move on from him. A couple other ones, they can move on from them if they want to. It wouldn't be very impactful. Rob Jones, I didn't have him on there as a key one. He was the one who was injured. They got him from Miami. I think if the price is good, unless he signed a 2-year deal, I'm not 100% sure. I haven't really looked into it. He would be one that I would be okay. Anyone in the offensive line, if the price is right, you can do it. Now, who would you get any key guys that you want to see gone that I didn't mention that could be a price tag guy, cap casualty on this team?
No, I don't think so. They got rid of Diggs. I wanted him gone. Got rid of Diggs. I don't really think of anybody that's on the team that I'd be like, man, we got to get rid of that guy. I think we're set up.
Bringing Steele back.
Oh yeah, he is a guy that I wouldn't mind seeing cut.
Would you bring him back on a restructure?
If he restructured for a low amount, I might bring him back. But I'll tell you what, his job definitely is in jeopardy in terms of like, he's competing for that right tackle job. He ain't getting it. He ain't just. It's not like it's just gonna be his.
Yeah, Flores to the Giants. It's Harbaugh to the Giants. I don't think Flores is going to the Giants, right?
Flores to the Giants. Yeah, no, Harbaugh got hired by the Giants.
Yeah, I don't think Flores can go there to be a
Flores is no, Flores is interviewing for the head coaching job at the Pittsburgh Steelers.
yeah.
I think didn't he have a defensive coordinator? He got an interview with Washington though, right?
He did. I mean, Washington wants to interview him. They haven't. I think
They have not officially interviewed him. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Why the hell?
He's free to do it. I just don't see him making like to your point. I don't really see him making a lateral move because I think the Vikings coach. I mean, you have another bad year, they might be getting rid of him, and he might be going. Just hey, I'm already here. I might as well just stay in Minnesota, or I think he'll get another head coaching job. And I just don't. I know I saw Shula's name, and that's been linked to Pittsburgh as well. But Flores just seems to feel right there. He was there.
Yeah.
Tomlin brought him there kind of when he got blackballed a little bit by the NFL. The Rooneys are very, pro giving guys that they're not afraid of people who challenge the NFL.
The Rooney rule for a reason is the Rooney rule.
Say that too. So I think the Rooneys, I don't know. And isn't it amazing though? The Steelers have had 3 head coaches their whole franchise between Noel and I always say him, the Cower, the Chin, and Tomlin. It's just great. And Tomlin was there 19 years. It's just
yeah. And that's the thing too is that people are speculating, is Tomlin actually walking away, or did Pittsburgh, instead of firing him, gave him the option to say, hey, to save face, like you could say you're walking away. What do you think that it was actually him walking away from the coaching position, or do you think that was a deal behind closed doors where they said, hey, we're gonna let you walk away, like we don't really want to fire you, but
yeah,
what do you think that was?
I think it was mutual. I think they kind of like, hey, it's been 19 years, we've had a good run, but I mean, realistically, they've been good for a very long time, but they hadn't won people talk about the Cowboys, they hadn't won a playoff game in 7 years.
Yeah.
The playoff record outside the Super Bowl, right, has been pretty bad. I think it was like 3-11 or something like that. So they've just struggled, and I think they needed a change. If you look at that team, aren't they like ready for just basically a blow up and restructure? I mean, you're not going to bring Rodgers back. They don't have a lot of talent on offense. Metcalf, you're not going to put around him. Defense, maybe they move on from what, they got to start looking at what they're going to do. Hayward's old. I mean, they're a team that is going to have to be kind of gutted and rebuilt.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, they're ready for kind of a whatever you want to call that, reinvigoration of their team. So I think Brian Flores would be what they're looking for though, because I think, that Pittsburgh has always been, a team that prides themselves off, discipline and defense. Think about how many great defensive teams that have come through that Steelers organization over the past, just since I've been alive anyway. That's not even saying from before when they had, the Steel Curtain and, one of the greatest defenses of all time. So that's just that kind of like the identity of a Steeler. He just seems and has the feel to me of a Pittsburgh Steeler. So, I mean, I think that I just don't know that I don't see how he doesn't get that job. The opening is there. He's a guy that's been, is widely regarded, that he got a bum rap in Miami. And I think that, what better team to give him that redemption at head coach than the Steelers. And the thing too is they're going to be very patient with him. He doesn't have to worry about them, this being like a 1 or 2 year deal, because it's funny how many of these coaches you see get these jobs and then they're out on their ass within, you had Pete Carroll got 1 year with the Raiders and they're like, yeah, we've seen enough. This is not going to be a reclamation project. You're done, So NFL teams aren't always the most patient when they bring you in, except unless you're coaching for the Steelers. And then you got it.
Give them credit for that because they get a Super Bowl with Tomlin, they get a Super Bowl with Cower, they've got 4 with Chuck Noll. But even with 1 Super Bowl, it's just surprising, not many coaches survived 19 years, 1 Super Bowl. Some people say that's not good enough. That's not good enough. And you even look at like Harbaugh. That one surprised me, but you kind of saw him and Lamar Jackson. It was just kind of like, I don't know, just that whole organization, just something was getting a little funky there. What do you think about Harbaugh to the Giants going in the East? The Giants have been kind of the cellar dwellers and been the whipping boys of the East. He's gonna, he's gonna bring some stability to that organization. I mean, what are you thinking of the Harbaugh going there?
You know what? I was talking about it with Attack on Cowboys, and then I mentioned it on another post. I'm not like sitting over here scared that Harbaugh is going to come in and dominate the NFC East, but I will say this: he's the most competent head coach they've had since Tom Coughlin. So I'll give him that. I think that he is going to. I think he'll be good for them. I think he'll be good for the Giants. Now, do I think that they're going to be like some turnaround team and go from worst to first? No, I don't think that. But I do think that the Giants, he will start to get that team turned, get the culture turned, get some positive things going for him. I think it would be a few years down the line, but I mean, he's got some good things to work with. You know what I mean? They got Scatterboo, young running back. They've got a young roster. Roster. The three skill positions: wide receiver, running back, and quarterback. You've got three young guys that are all pretty talented. Neighbors has all the potential to become one of the best wide receivers in the league, and at least top 5. So yeah, I mean, I think he comes in there with a pretty good situation. And like I said, I think again he's the most competent head coach. I think I looked up his record. It's like 180 wins to 113 losses. I mean, that's good. That's a proven track record. That means that you can do it. And people will say what they want about him and say, he didn't ever win a Super Bowl with Lamar Jackson. They said one of the most talented. It is what it is, man. I mean, the players got to play. It's you can't always put it on the coach. It's a dual type thing. And I honestly don't know that they ever really got Lamar Jackson. Zay Flowers is probably the closest they've had to it. But up until Zay Flowers, I don't know that they ever really put a bunch of great offensive weapons around Lamar. They kind of more invested in the defense. It was more of a defensive-minded team. So, say what you want about that. I think Harbaugh is a good coach ultimately, and I think he'll do some good things for them. But I still think that in terms of the Giants being a team that I would be worried about, that's a couple years down the road, in my opinion.
Yeah, Scatterboo, he's gonna. Yeah, he probably won't play long. I agree with you, Cuts. And I don't know if we're having issues with our comments because we had like a lag, and all of a sudden 50 comments showed up. There was like 5 minutes and no comments, and 50 showed up. So I don't know. So I do apologize because I'm trying to sift through all the comments because a whole bunch of them just dropped on us in one shot. So yeah, I think it's going to be interesting with Harbaugh to the Giants. He is going to give them stability. He's going to give them a culture. I think they will be better. We'll see what kind of, coordinators he brings in there. The question is, hey, is the game kind of passed him by a little bit? Did it wear on him? Just did not have a great year, but hey, they were 1-5 and they ended up a game away, from winning the division after going 1-5.
Teams compete.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't quit on him. I mean, they didn't quit on him. So he has he's a Harbaugh. He has a way of firing up his guys and getting the best out of them. So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens there. So we've got a lot to cover with the NFL and with the offseason. So again, I want to say just real quick, thank you for everybody. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and share. Kelly, you and I don't think we've had a show. Maybe we did, maybe we didn't. I apologize, but we're over 5,000 subscribers, but I don't know. We're almost at 5,200 in less than a week now. So we've gained almost 200 new subscribers in less than a week. So it's a big thanks to you guys. I see a lot of new names on, in the chat, and we definitely appreciate it. So we do thank you for that and supporting the cave. I don't know if misery loves company. I don't know if it's because my Hurricanes have been on this wild ride. Whatever it is, we definitely like it. But wrapping up the show, Kelly, and I want you to be honest. I don't want you could call it like it is. I won't be mad at you. We got the national championship game is set, and Miami, Indiana. I'm going to be honest with you. I never watched a minute of Indiana except a little bit against Ohio State and some against Oregon, right? I did watch the Oregon game, was really impressed by them, but it was a lot of turnovers, inflated it. So what do you think of this game, Miami, Indiana, home game for Miami? And interesting enough, they have an 8.5-point dog as a home team, which is kind of, I don't know what Vegas is trying to do, but I think it motivated my Hurricanes. But
yeah,
have you seen both teams? I mean, have you watched both of them enough to maybe give an opinion of how you think this thing's going to break down?
I have, and I'm gonna be. I've always pride myself and always keeping things 100% real. So I'm just tell you like this. I come Monday, I'm rooting for the Canes 1000%, and I think you guys got as good a chance to win it as anybody that's out there, right?
Yeah.
But what I will say is what I've seen. I feel like Indiana is the best team in college football right now, top to bottom.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: the best team don't always win. It's the best team that day. That's why they play the game. And I absolutely think that Miami can win this game. So I'm not saying that I think this would be like a blow. I think this would be a close game. I think this would be a great game. But just from what I've seen, I just feel like Indiana has been the best team that I have seen this year because of what I've seen them do to Ohio State. I watched that whole game.
Didn't watch what we did to Ohio State, though. I guess
they were, yeah. No, I'm just saying what they did to Ohio State, and you guys, granted, you guys did the same thing. You guys took Ohio State and made them look like light work. What they turned around and did to Oregon, they just
the Oregon one has me put some concern in my mind. That was a pretty bad beating. It's a bad beating.
And to Ultra's point, their quarterback is the best quarterback in college football right now. I mean, he is a talented player.
He's from Miami too. His teammates. Yeah. He has teammates in Miami that play at Miami.
I mean, he looks the part. You know what I mean? So I'm just gonna say I think we're all in for a treat because I think it's gonna be a great game. I really do. I don't think it's going to be a blowout one way or another. I think it's going to be one of those games that is going to come down to the fourth quarter. I think it's going to be a very close game, and it's going to come down to who can limit the mistakes.
Yeah,
limit the mistakes, limit the turnovers. Come out and play your best ball, man. Miami, you put your best on the line. Indiana puts their best on the line. Let's see who wins. Because right now, I honestly think it's a coin flip game. I really do.
I think the nastiness is what I need to see. This is the Canes win if the nastiness and the size difference of the lines is I mean, it is significant. I mean, our line was 6'9", 345. I mean, we have a big, NFL two first-round picks could be on the D line, 2 first-round picks could end up being on the O line and tackle. So they've got big linemen. The way Miami's going to win is just by breaking their will. And then you got Fletcher, who's 240 running back, 230, whatever he is, 6'1", big kid who's fresh because they rotate their running backs a lot. So you're seeing him getting those carries now. Miami's got to wear him down. They can't get in a shootout. They can't go in it can't be one of these wild ass games. That would not favor Miami. So if Miami shortens the game, almost like what you saw with A&M, kind of what you saw with Ohio State, they can't play that Ole Miss game, even though they won. The undisciplined, the penalties, the old school Miami ball, late hits, pre-snap, they cannot do that. They've got to play the type of game they played against A&M and against Ohio State. And I think defensively, some of the guys are familiar with Mendoza. Like I said, he's from Miami. He was at Cal. I mean, go look at the hit his old teammate, 31 did to him, did knock him out in that game. It's going to be a battle. And it seems like Mendoza is just nothing phases him. So can the Miami defensive line, Ken Mesidor, Ken Bain, Ken Moten, can they get to him, disrupt them, and make them very uncomfortable? That's what it's going to come down to. If Indiana gets to a shootout and fast-paced off, Miami's going to be in trouble. I mean, that's just being honest. I mean, Miami's got to play nasty. It's got to be a nasty Miami in the trenches game. And I think last team who has the ball is going to be the winner.
Yeah, that's kind of what I think. I see it as a tight game, a good game with two great teams that have earned their spots here, and rightfully so. I don't look at this, it's one of them times where I don't look at this and think that any of these teams, that Miami or Indiana, aren't here by an accident. You know what I mean? As big of a Texas Tech fan as I was this year, and a believer in their defense, after really seriously seeing what happened, I could recognize the shortcomings of my team, and I think if we would have played Indiana, I think Indiana would have housed us. So I mean, I really do, and so I think that it's the two best teams in college football. And, I don't think that there's a year this year where I'm looking at it like, well, one of these teams got lucky. You know what I mean?
The way the playoffs are now, it's not like the old day. Oh, this guy got voted. You look at what each team had to do to get there. I mean, you're talking about Miami had to go to A&M.
They went through tough teams. Yeah.
They had to beat Ohio State, had to beat Ole Miss. Indiana had to beat Alabama. No, that everyone said, and I was too. I wasn't a believer. I said, Alabama, they were going to, because I just can't believe in Indiana. It's stuck in my head. And then, that what they do against Oregon, you've got to be battle tested, but it's a game of attrition. It's almost like college football is the NFL now, where it's not, you got to peak at the right time. And I think what hurt Georgia and what hurt maybe Tech and what hurt, Ohio State is they didn't play their best football, and you can't recover from that when you're playing these kind of teams, because you're playing the best of the best, and you've got to play it over and over and over. So it's just the way college football is now, and they're talking about adding more teams to make it even a harder stretch. Yeah. So I don't know what they're going to do, man.
And my whole thing too, man, is that I'm not a huge fan of the bye. I mean, we saw Oregon last year get the bye and come out and get beat, and get beat in that first round that they played in. And, you saw Tech do it, and you saw, you've seen plenty of teams do it. I mean, Ohio State had the so they had a bye, right?
Every team with the bye lost except Indiana.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm saying. I mean, you get these teams that it's not that they're not great teams, but like you said, you want to stay in that rhythm. So it's like you have the Big 12 championship, and then it's like, all right, well, then you're going to get 2 weeks off or whatever, and you kind of wish that you could just keep playing after your championship game, or you could, as soon as the season ends, the next week should start your playoffs instead of having ultimately 2 weeks off with a bye. It just kind of, I don't know. Again, it's not an excuse. You got to play what you play. That's the format. That's the setup. And teams, obviously, if you're one of the better teams, you're going to get that bye. But how do you keep your team fresh? How do you keep your team on that level with that same energy that you have to end the season? So, you got to do it. But I mean, Miami did it. And, and Indiana obviously was able to survive their bye. So, I'm excited about that game. I think it's going to be a really good game.
It's going to be a great game. You have
it's two teams that are – look at the teams that are in there. I mean, these are not your usual suspects, which is the other thing that makes this fun, because the NIL is kind of changing the game at this point, because now you've got teams that – you've got a team like Miami, who ain't been in a long time, is back. You got a team like Indiana, who's a first-timer. And, I mean, I love those kind of stories. I really do. I love to see it. And, I'm excited, man.
Well, we'll leave you with some fun facts. Some fun facts that it could be pro Miami or against. Miami has never won a national championship on an even year. All their championships are odd years. All the championship games that they lost were on even years. So that doesn't bode well for Miami, because it's 2026. It's an even year. But Miami was 0-4 in the Fiesta Bowl, never won in the Fiesta Bowl in the history, and they broke that curse. So, but all of Miami's championships, all the teams they beat to win the national championship, all had red. All their primary color was red. So you could look at on the good side, or you could look on the bad, but it's going to be a great time. I'm excited. It has been just, it's like I said, maybe I wasn't talking to you. I'm sorry if I repeated it, but it's been so long since you've been a fan in a really big game. And to me, I grew up a Heat fan, so yeah, they won some, and but Dallas Cowboys are number one way at the top. Miami is not even a 1A. It's definitely 2. So
Yeah.
it's been a long time for both. And I can't imagine how it's going to feel for Dallas. But, I mean, the elation and the excitement. I mean, I have been on cloud 9 for the last, 4 weeks on this ride. And
Yeah.
I am just counting down the days. And it's just can't, like, we're driving 4 hours, 4.5 hours down to Miami at 6 a.m. to go have some fun, do all the stuff, and then we're driving back that night because we got to get back by Sunday so I can watch some playoffs and stuff. But we're gonna just spend the day to do that, and we're gonna shop and get all the gear. You get all the championship stuff, and you pray that they don't lose, because then it's like you don't want to wear it anymore. So, but it has just been such a great feeling, and I forgot how good it feels, man. I forgot. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's funny, man, because I was thinking about it the other day, and I was like, man, I really hope you get it, because it's been the same for me. Been a very long time since I've experienced a championship with any one of my teams. I guess the last one, but it was distant. I mean, obviously, I'm a Texas Rangers fan, but I'm not like diehard, man. I've never claimed to be, but I've always been a Rangers fan since I was a kid, man. So back to the Nolan Ryan days, but that don't compare. It don't compare. It don't come close to if Tech wins a championship in anything, if Texas Tech ever wins a championship in any one of their major sports. But I will say the closest I got, 2019, men's basketball team made it to the national championship against Virginia. I'm a huge basketball fan. I love it. Went and drove to the national championship game. One of the better sports experiences that I've experienced, one of the better live ones, just because of the whole, just being able to soak everything in, and being able to be there with all these other, Texas Tech fans, but we couldn't seal the deal. Lost that game in overtime, and it was a very bittersweet end to what was a phenomenal season. And kind of like you said, it just kind of puts a little bit of a damper on it. Now, is it still one of the top sports memories I have? It was, because it was a great game. It went to overtime. It was one hell of a season. And we were kind of like Miami in the sense that leading up that championship game, we ran the gauntlet. I mean, we beat a Villanova, we beat a Michigan State and a Michigan. Like, we beat blue blood after blue blood after blue blood to get to Virginia. And just, great experience. And you guys are kind of running that same thing. So I really, for your sake, man, hope that you guys finish the deal, punch that ticket, get to hoist that trophy up at the end of the game on Monday night, because it's I want that feeling for you, man. I really do, because it's been a long time, man, since one of us have had it, man. So one of us deserves it. One of us deserves it. One of us has got to get this feeling, man. So
yeah, no, I appreciate it, and I do appreciate everyone except one shithead that he's going to be negative just to be negative. If I say it's raining, he's going to say it's sunny. If we say it's
we know who that is.
There's just no, you have people like that in the life, and I always think those people have nothing in it. They're just going to be negative on you to be negative. They probably have a pitiful life. So aside from that, most people have been very, very pro. Hey, man, get it done. Hope it does.
Yeah.
Good for you. Yada, that kind of thing. And so I do appreciate you guys. It ain't going to be easy. I mean, they're 8.5-point favorites at home, which scares me a little bit, but it just makes me wonder is Vegas trying to trap people in. So I don't know what's going to happen. So it's going to be interesting to see, because they did have a huge win. So guys, we will be wrapping it up. Like I said, we may do a show on Sunday. It really depends on my time, but definitely appreciate all the love. Make sure you guys hit that like, make sure you hit that subscribe on your way out. We appreciate everyone who's always joining the cave. We are heading into the off season, so we are doing Thursday night. So this is kind of getting going on the Thursdays. We're going to be doing Tuesdays instead of Mondays for a little bit. I mentioned my son is in a basketball league, so I enjoy going out to watch him and my nephews play basketball, get some old guys, and see if they can beat them. So it's been a lot of fun. So last thing for you, and real quick, your son was wrestling and not wrestling this, because I was at wrestling today, and did he wrestle this year? I haven't heard much.
You know what? He was all in on the wrestling thing. We even sent him to a wrestling camp. He was ready to go to that stuff. And then he made what I would call a business decision. He got offered a shift lead manager at where he's been working, but the stipulation was like they need him to pick up more hours. They need him to pick up more shifts. And he's like, listen, he's like, he had a talk with me, and he's like, Dad, he's like, I am not gonna make varsity this year. He said, I'll be on JV, which we knew it was a big, huge for him to start wrestling. It's gonna be tough.
So late.
He started as a junior, and his school has won 5 consecutive state champions. So they recruit there. They don't, if you're going to be on varsity, you're probably going to be in running you're going to be at state. You may not have place, but like last year on his team, I think there was 4 or 5 guys that won state. And I mean, these kids are coming in. There's one kid there that won state every single year, freshman to his senior year, all 4 years, swept. Yeah. So, I mean, anyway, they offered him that position. He said, look, I'm about to graduate. I would like to start saving up money. I want to get a place of my own. I want to, get a better car, this, that, and the other. And I said, hey, listen, I get it, man. If you want to get a jump on adulthood, man, I said, I'm not going to knock you for it. And he was like, he's like, if I was going to make varsity, it'd be one thing I might reconsider. He goes, but I just look at it in the long run. I'm not going to get a scholarship for wrestling, but I can save up some money before I graduate. So he's not wrestling this year, but he did get a promotion to work.
All right, so. That's a mature decision, and probably a thought out decision, and probably long term, probably the right decision for him. So I mean, that year that he had, hey, you can tell me you can always go on some tournaments if you get the itch. They do have open tournaments that you can go do that in your own time. And the thing he'll learn is he'll appreciate the shape he was in when he was practicing every day. Because when he goes out on that mat, he'll be gassing out in like about 30 seconds, and he'll be trying to figure out how the hell was I in the shape that I could wrestle for 6 minutes. So,
I'll tell you this: he still tries to wrestle with me, and like, I mean, I'm quite a bit bigger than him, but he's pretty quick and nimble, so he can move around a lot quicker than I can. And I just tell you this right now: I am gassed as hell after about 60 seconds, man, and I'm just like I'm like, holy cow, I mean, I'm out of there. So yeah, definitely takes some stamina and some energy that I really don't have anymore. So
no, I'm the same. Yeah, it's over. Get it done quick and then hold on and just use your size.
No doubt.
That's it. So, guys, we appreciate it. Hopefully, go Canes. Get this chip.
Absolutely.
Home number 6 for my Canes would be great. Do appreciate it. I'll be probably popping in. I'll do some videos while we're down there. Just kind of give you the lay of the land, boots on the ground. Hopefully, it'll be a heavy influence on my Miami Hurricanes at all these events. So it should be good. But definitely appreciate it. You guys have a great weekend, and hopefully we'll see you on Tuesday, if not sooner. Appreciate it. See you.
Give me somebody that's hungry. Give me somebody that's hungry. I need somebody.